Hey everyone, this is Notser, and we're going to be talking about the updated skill tree rework that seemingly is coming soon. So far, we see 4 classes. I don't know where the submarine is. I'll try and figure out what their plan is on that front, but let's talk about these 4 classes and different builds that I envision trying whenever I get the first chance at it. There is no announced date for when we could have these to test. But I do know that it is within reason that it could be soon rather than later. That's all I'll say. And let's get right to it. This video is brought to you by the Ridge Wallet. It's light, sleek, and industrial. It doesn't fold or awkwardly bulge in your back pocket, and it seriously changed my whole pocket situation. It holds up to 12 cards, plus room for your cash, either with a cash strap or, as shown here, a money clip option. I personally prefer the money clip. It works really well, and as you can see, I can sort of hold the money clip and eject the necessary cards when I'm at a store or something like that. There are over 30 colors and styles to choose from, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. If it wasn't enough to win you over, check out the 30,000, yes, 30,000 5-star reviews. I have used this for over 40 days, and I can attest it lives up to it. It is incredibly compact compared to the competition from yesteryear. It has so much going for it with RFID blocking. The material is very durable. It's long-lasting. It comes with a lifetime warranty. You could buy this one wallet and carry it for your life. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it, that they'll allow you to test drive it for 45 days, and you can send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. And get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/Notser and use the code Notser. Check out the link in the video description. So the aircraft carrier is the first, and there are a couple qualifiers to the entire process. First of all, they have sort of baked in last stand for engine protection across the board. So every single ship type in the game will not have their engine come to a complete stop when they lose it. That's fantastic. Some of these mechanics will proc based on base gun range and base detection range. So that could limit your ability to potentially activate a really powerful mechanic. I'm not quite sure I'm a fan of that yet, but it is something that they're testing, so we'll talk about it, of course. So let's get right to the carriers. Aircraft carrier, it's been weird. The reason I think that this makes the most sense going forward is it gives more focus to each class. Carriers sort of had only carrier skills, and everyone else had their own skills that sort of interchanged. But for the aircraft carrier, you have your typical skills that you're familiar with maneuvering, speed, thrusting, recharge. There is some added effects with HE, AP. We also have some interesting torpedo arming distance, which is equivalent to the torpedo acceleration skill. So, it might change the wording, but it is similar to what we have now. Except for the other line here. It seems that Wargaming is offering an interceptor role potentially for the aircraft carrier. You have increasing the patrol fighter's radius, not once but twice. You have this interceptor skill that makes it faster to engage, and it lasts for a shorter time. So there is a downside to going this. But there's plenty of upside in trying to counter an enemy aircraft carrier, which was never possible before. And then there's a little bit of a change here with a focus. I don't know how much this will extend the patrol fighter radius, but I could envision maybe a patrol fighter radius that's extending probably like maybe even 15-20% of an effective area of the map. We don't know exactly how much they're interested in buffing this, but it seems that Wargaming is interested in making it more possible for an aircraft carrier to seemingly defend their teammates. And I really like that, and I'm hoping that this focused skill, along with Interceptor, will allow that archetype to exist for carrier players. And there are carrier players out there that would totally be into playing more defensive for their team and only attacking when their team's safe. I think that that's absolutely something that they should have explored, and finally they are. There's some protection for secondaries as well. For the Germans, you might be afraid that they would get rid of that. There's a weird one with stealth. It lets you get closer, but it takes longer for the aircraft to get there. Not really sure that I'm really feeling that one, but in my mind, I'm envisioning like this full line for your initial intercepting if you're trying to play anti-air. Other things that you could do, you could totally pick up anything to do with maybe damage or speed, because or anything to do with health or speed. It'll let you move around the map quickly and safely. So let's see how many points this is. 3, 5. This is 9, so we've got 14, 18 points. So we have 3 more points total. If I didn't mention it, they're increasing the total number of skill points from 19 to 21. And I guarantee you will have to earn it, and it will be expensive. And no, there will not be any retroactive buffing. No, this is just to give them more reason to play the game. They're not going to feel sorry for you. So we have 18 points now. We can do 3. So we could get either damage or maybe cruising speed. You could absolutely go air fighter launch. You know, I wonder if the patrol fighter effect will influence the aircraft carrier. Like, what if the aircraft carrier's fighter would have an extended patrol? Couldn't you spec into something like that, and then you could maybe encapsulate a portion of the map with your patrol fighter, and then go out on the map and put another one? That might be a way to play. So this is sort of the Interceptor carrier. Never possible, but absolutely is one of the builds that is totally viable from my eyes. There's a lot of emphasis on the patrol fighter and the extension of its aura. I'm just really fascinated by this, and I'm really hoping that this will be a valid playstyle for the aircraft carrier. It looks very interesting. Obviously, you've got other builds and stuff like that, but I just wanted to talk about that maybe less than talked about. You can obviously go torpedo damage, AP damage, HE damage, aiming speed, cruising speed, torpedo damage reduction, enemy. You can take this ruthless skill that ignores 15% of your torpedo protection. Seems like godlike tier against the Yamato. And it's additive, so it's just a straight 15 off. It's a real big buff to torpedoes. So you could conceivably have a torpedo build for every single aircraft carrier that you own. There are enough skills here to actually do that. And that's interesting. I haven't really thought of something like that, but it's obviously something that Wargaming has opened up with a couple skills here and there. So you could go a lot of different things for the aircraft carrier, and I'm really interested to see how much. Really interested to see if this offers more variety and if this makes the carrier more friendly to everyone, because a carrier that's invested in your team in defense is a carrier that I can get behind, and I'm hoping that that can be played. Next up, we've got Battleships. Battleships are pretty sweet. I think everyone's a fan. I am as well. And they have been doing some work with regard to efficient, making the builds more optimized with efficient skill location, rearranging the skill tree so it makes more sense for Battleships. And a couple of the standout features to me, there's a new reload, damage control party, and repair party, a 1-pointer. Seems pretty awesome for Battleships. You've also got Threshing, which is a 2-point IFHE skill, hugely helpful for all those secondary battleship builds. It's way cheaper, it's way more affordable, absolutely big win there. Argus Eye is the the priority target skill being sort of nerfed in costs. It's now 2 points instead of 1. Rest in peace. It is still really good. I can't imagine you not taking it. It's just going to cost more. They've got a full dedicated AA tree, it seems. Not necessarily positive that it's going to be good enough, but I think that there are improvements here for sure. Now, the torpedo acquisition range is plus 25%. I don't know if this is accurate. I'm using, I believe, Flambass's Captain Skill rework. Put in a lot of time. It looks great. But Vigilance had a qualifier on the developer's Excel spreadsheet where you had to use the new torpedo awareness module that competes with concealment. I'm not quite sure on this one, but Vigilance being 2 points versus 3 is helpful. Armor piercing. You can get 5% higher AP shell damage for 40% longer floods and fires. I'm not quite sure if this is a good enough skill. This seems like a noob trap, as said in chat. It seems like a noob trap. Don's like, yeah, this is a noob trap. I don't know where they're going with armor piercing. I can't see that at all. Adrenaline Rush got nerfed. It's a 3 point instead of a 2. Advanced firing training got buffed for secondaries. It's now 3 points instead of 4. Survivability Expert is just renamed Basics of Survivability. Steady is pretty sweet. Torpedo protection damage reduced. Reduction of the ship has improved by 10%. So you saw the aircraft carrier could ignore your torpedo protection. Well, Battleship players, you can increase your torpedo protection by 10%. And I believe it's additive. It's not on this sheet, but I think it's additive. Marksman. Marksman is a weird one. This is one of those considers your base detectability range. Your maximum dispersion of your main battery is improved by 10% if there is no visible enemy within the ship's base detectability radius. So base detectability radius is the ship's detectability when you hit that button and you load in. That's your base detectability range. If there's any ship that is, if there's no ships visible within your base detectability range, you gain a 10% buff. But if there's a DD, if there's a ship on the other side of an island, inside of your radius, you do not get to benefit from this at all. Period. So it's a 4-point skill that can be deactivated for a significant amount of the game. Secondary Armament Expert has been nerfed to 35 base for everything. It used to have 60% at high tier and 35 at low tier. It's now 35 base. However, Wargaming is committing to increasing the base secondary range and allowing secondaries, even with manual secondary, which Secondary Armament Expert is, they can still attack from either side. So you trade longer range accuracy, which is going to be good against DDs, for the ability to attack everyone who might get in your secondary range. Hard to say if it's worth it, but if they extend the range of secondaries a little bit more, that might mean secondary builds are more useful in more games. So I'm for that. That's cool. I did easy peasy, but not in this way. Straight A, Artillerist. This is the another one which needs to consider your secondary battery range. Your reload time of your main battery is improved if an enemy is visible within your secondary battery. So this one goes really well with a secondary build, and I will be talking about my secondary build. Emergency repair, extra damage control and repair, extra charges. That's nice. And everything else is the same. So I'm going to go a secondary build. Threshing looks cool. Gunner looks cool. First, we're going to go Gunner. Okay, so 1, 3, 1, 3, 6, 10, 14. 14 points so far. I think fire prevention is probably necessary. Oh, gosh. But 14, 18, right? See, then I can't take Emergency Repair Expert. So, you notice this is a problem. There are so many good skills that you have to decide what is more important to you. Extra penetration on your secondaries, or extra concealment and reduction, or, whatever. Either way, secondary build, way more impactful, way more interesting, and there's a lot more decisions to be made as a Battleship player. Do I want to go full-on tank? Do I want to go AP damage, long-range AP damage? Do I want to improve my AA protection? Do I want to face tank torpedo players with vigilance and steady? We got to see how this all works out. So I'm thinking overall, as a Battleship player, you should be very happy with this skill tree. I think aircraft carriers so far have the best one, A+. Battleships, I'd say, are about B+, maybe a B. I like it. There's some changes here that are cool. I'm not quite sure that I like every change, though. It is disappointing that Adrenaline Rush is more expensive. It is disappointing that Argus is more expensive. But IFHE being cheaper, that's really nice. So, overall, Battleship's really happy about the tree. And the steady, the torpedo protection, is a nice added feature for Battleships. That means they will actually be able to get close to torpedoes and not be afraid of them. The cruiser, spoiler alert, not a fan of the cruiser tree. Not a fan of the cruiser tree. So we've got your usual, these have been moved up a little bit. There's some emphasis on faster reload of consumables and longer action time. Those are cool. There is a spotting aircraft dedicated skill. So all of your Demoman meme builds, you could potentially benefit more from. Curious to see if we get more spotting play and cruiser play out of this. We have a Demoman skill. HE and SAP damage increased by a huge amount, but also your ship detectability. So it makes you a hell of a lot easier to spot, but you do a huge amount of damage. I would be curious to see if Demoman is something that maybe the British heavy cruisers decide to play as. Because their ship detectability already is really good, that in the Zao, they could benefit from this and not lose too much on their gun system. Maybe torpedo, yes, but not necessarily their guns. Torpedo damage. By the way, why are we adding so many torpedo-focused skills for cruisers when, I don't know if you guys notice, there's no preventative maintenance anymore for cruisers. Why is a cruiser missing out on a skill that should be nearly baseline for everyone? That seems like a really big oversight to me. Preventative maintenance is way too good of a skill to not be in every tree. And I hope that Wargaming makes some changes to at least add preventative maintenance. I would rather have preventative maintenance than AA Gunner. I would totally rather have than AA Gunner. Okay, AP damage. That's a pretty interesting one. That one didn't exist before. My Des Moines is going to love this one. We have straight A Artillerist. This one's weird. A cruiser will get improved gun reload and improvement in secondary armament reload if the enemy ship is detected within secondary firing range. So this is encouraging a secondary build for cruisers to benefit from this skill. It's not really viable right now, and there's nothing that extends their secondary range. So this is a really weird one. This seems very limited in its benefit. Brawler, same idea. Your ship speed will be increased if there are more visible enemies than allies within your base main battery range. So cruisers that play forward can stand to benefit from this a lot, but There's nothing to benefit from when you are near your allies. So I'm not quite sure these conditional skills are that interesting to me. They seem too specific. Radio locations renamed to Intelligence Radio Technician. Thresher, IFHE still a 4 point. Still think it's overpriced for cruisers. Would not pick up at all. I like what they've done with others, but not cruisers. 4 points for this is just, that's a lot. That's just a lot to ask, especially when there's so many other skills. Cruisers, above all else, can enhance their AA more. So they are more adept at extending their power against carrier. I'm not quite sure that I would dedicate myself towards fighting aircraft necessarily, but we could see more aircraft carriers as there's more builds, there's more possible plays. We'll see. Now, if I'm considering a nice build, I'm thinking about my Demoman. And I'm thinking about what my Demoman does well. And I think we all know what the Demoman does well. It kills the enemy. And now I can get AP. I can get extra charges. I can get Argus Eye. I can get Loader, of course. I could pick up Demoman, but then I would be nerfing my own. So I have to decide what's more important. Maybe a Drill Rush. I'm just not a fan of conditional activatable abilities. I find them way too situational to have any interest in my play. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should consider Brawler. But for now, I'm not really going to look at that. Gunner, 1, 3, 6, 10, 13, 15, 16. Maybe we do Brawler. Yeah, maybe we do. That or we make our AA really good. That's another option as well. And, you know, if there's more aircraft carriers, not less, then that will protect you from more of your opponents. So that could be a big pickup too. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see how all this works out. Finally, we have destroyers. Destroyers are pretty cool. What else have we done? There's AP shell damage here. That's cool. Here is Last Stand, renamed. Cautious is interesting. Your main battery reload time is slower, but your ship speed is 8% faster while undetected. So you could envision a torpedo build going much quicker around the map. Might be interesting. Might be a little annoying, especially if there's aircraft catching you. Fearless improves your main battery reload by 10% for 5% worse detection. Kind of interesting. And then Nimble. Nimble's weird. Whenever you first appear for the first 15 seconds, enemies that shoot at you have 20% less accuracy. So this is really for a DD that pops out and goes back in and stuff like that. Nimble could be like a game changer. It could be so good that you wouldn't need detectability necessarily, because the players would be so inaccurate that even if they fired, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So I'm not quite sure about if I would incorporate Nimble, but if I'm envisioning like a German DD build, I'm probably going something like this. I still think Last Stand's required. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. 1, 3, 6, 10, 13, 15, 17, 21. That's a 21 right there. That seems like it might be a build that I could explore on my German. But there's so many options here. So the takeaway from all of this is that every class is more interesting and could create more variety for the game and increase its longevity. I think that this is absolutely the direction they need to go. I would like them to improve little things like not omit preventative maintenance for cruisers. I feel like that's a kind of a mandatory. I also just want them to make sure that there's no skill that is too easy to activate or never activates, or, you know, Nimble could be way too strong, and Marksman could be way too weak. We don't really know until we see it. And the same goes for the aircraft carrier. I really want there to be more archetypes that people can gravitate towards and play as. I really feel like my builds have become way too homogenized because there's only a few things that are really worth improving. The rest are really shallow and not that relevant. How relevant are these? Remains to be seen. Excited to test them. Don't know when, but I will obviously share whenever I can. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to check out more of my content, you can click the most recent or the most relevant uploads. You could also choose to subscribe to my channel. We do daily World of Warship videos, first impression, how-to, news, and review related. My North American recruit invite is on the screen. You can take advantage of that. I stream at twitch.tv/Notser. Thank you, have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.